FPV drones are not weapons. They're tools for creativity, innovation, and exploration. The media and policymakers tend to demonize these little guys because of current goings-on in Ukraine and Russia and the unfortunate use and weaponization of FPV drones. It's not just FPV drones either. I understand that the DJI-style drones are also being utilized. They have so many positive applications. It really is a shame that they're so misunderstood these days because of how they're being used currently in certain parts of the world. Really is unfortunate because for people like me, I got hooked to this little guy because there is nothing more fun than slapping on some goggles, and it is such an immersive experience flying this dude 50, 60 miles per hour, knowing one small little mistake and I slam into a tree, boom, there goes, over $1,000 in gear right there. It's unfortunate that they get such a bad rap and people really only focus on those cases of misuse rather than what they're actually intended for and all the fantastic positive applications that FPV drones have. FPV drones got their start in the early 2000s when RC hobbyists wanted to upgrade their flying and didn't just want to sit from the ground watching their plane in the sky. So they decided to strap analog video cameras to their planes and their helicopters, and these pioneers found a way to transmit that video from their RC helicopters and RC airplanes back down to video monitors and early iterations of the video goggles. Now, the early setups were far from perfect. The feed looked terrible, it was grainy, a lot of interference, a lot of latency, things like that. But people did what people do. Things got better, they iterated. Now you have things like the DJI systems, etc., which is what I fly with. I know, cool, right? Slap on these Nito goggles and boom, you get video directly from this drone up in the air, right to your face. It's awesome. It's one of the most immersive things you can experience. That immersive experience is why FPV drones were created. There's something just different when you're behind the goggles. It's so much more exciting. It's exhilarating. Just knowing one small little mistake and boom, your drone you've spent hundreds, even thousands of dollars on is gone. It really is exciting. It's so much fun. I love it. That's not even including the technical side of FPV drones. The tinkerers. It was the perfect way to combine people's love of flying, RC, and building. Because soldering, building your own flight decks, which I haven't started experimenting with, eventually I do plan on getting into that side of it. It's a little daunting, not gonna lie, but it was the perfect mix of fun and exciting, immersive flying, and nerdy tinkering that a lot of people like to get into. And that's where FPV communities come in. People love to share their tricks, their builds, videos, etc., their spots. It is such a collaborative community, and it is honestly insanely fun to be a part of. I brushed over a little bit about why they started and why people love them, but like, what are they actually intended for? What is the use of FPV drones? As I mentioned before, the tinkerers, people who love to build stuff. Most FPV drones are built, not bought. Building an FPV drone, you learn things like soldering, electronics, aerodynamics, programming. It's actually a lot of very fantastic, valuable skills that can apply in a lot of different ways outside of the hobby. Hobby flying, which is why I got an FPV. There's freestyling, drone racing, exploration, all sorts of different purposes to fly your drone with. I love freestyling. I'm not very good at it. I crash a lot. But it's fun to push the limits of the drone's maneuverability around obstacles and doing cool tricks. It's a lot like skateboarding or something in that sense where you're just practicing something cool over and over till eventually it clicks, and it's so much fun when you just get that perfect shot of a really cool trick. Then there's racing. I've never done drone racing, but there's money to be made, and it's cool as shit to watch little colorful drones fly around at Mach 10. Then there's exploration, or long distance FPV, where people stand here and they fly off to the mountain scene over there. And it's awesome. It looks fantastic. I love footage like that. I don't have a long range drone, but I would absolutely love to get into it one day. And then there's the main reason why I got into FPV. It is such an exciting filmmaking tool. They're game changers in cinematography. It is so much fun and exciting. It just adds that extra layer of action in whatever it is you're filming. I remember when I first started seeing them in films and edits and everything on Instagram, I knew it was gonna blow up eventually. It was only a matter of time. They're perfect for capturing high energy scenes like car chases, bike trails, things like that. They're even good for indoor shots, giving unique angles and offering different perspectives in your storytelling. Yeah, as I mentioned before, they're blown up. It's so much fun seeing them in movies. Every time I see it, sometimes it pulls me out of the movie a little bit. I'm like, that being said, where there is money, there is selling out. Companies like Rotor Riot, who once championed education, entertainment, and furthering the gospel, that is FPV, selling out to companies like Red Cat Holdings, who are known for selling drones and testing drone weaponry in the current Ukrainian war. This dark association to these companies leads to stricter regulations impacting hobbyists and small businesses alike. These actions damage the trust in FPV companies and make it harder and more expensive for people to obtain high quality FPV gear. It really is unfortunate that FPV, which started as a passion for immersive flying and building and cooler filmmaking, dominated by commercialization and geopolitical concerns. Misuse of FPV drones is just a good reason for the government to add tighter restrictions. Drone pilots face bans on flight zones, mandatory licensing, and invasive monitoring with things like Real ID. It is completely ironic that I shit on iFlight and DJI in this, but I have an iFlight drone and a DJI video system, which is hilarious. In my defense, I bought this thing before the whole CCP thing happened, and again, I just, it's DJI. It was the easier option, and I didn't do any research into what kind of company they are or have become. I would love if FPV could just remain the fun, innovative, building, filmmaking tool and hobby that it is, and not just become a weapon where it'll eventually get over-regulated and be impossible for anyone to get into without crazy permitting and cost associated with it, where it'll just die from Uncle Sam's tight grip.